After a whiz-bang beginning with all the craziness a pilot / first episode should have, Starfleet Academy has given us episode after episode of character studies rooted in good stories about Starfleet and a Federation trying to build back better. This is not that episode. What starts with some sexy time and another training challenge becomes a reminder that outside the walls of the academy, shit gets real. And there is a body count. Damn, there is a body count. And at the center of it is pig vomit. I mean, Nusbraka. I can't even write that much of a comedic opening for this one because it only gets worse as we go along. So let's just dive into the terror that is episode 6 of Starfleet Academy. Come, let's away. This is Treknicity. Welcome to Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast where we explore the Star Trek multiverse, one mission at a time. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and joining me are the Tenacious D crew of the USS San Dimas. Going clockwise for me, we got Lars Di Scenza, we got Cat Drake, and we got James Mottershead.
Woo!
Hey, I got it right. Yeah. Only the second try.
Listen here.
I don't know. I'm not keeping count anymore.
I got the best people with me right now, and we're going to take that championship belt.
I don't get it. I don't get the reference.
It's a Hulk Hogan reference.
Oh, yeah, brother. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. Okay, when I think wrestling, I think of Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh. Snap a door, Slim Jim.
That's right.
Ooh.
Although back when the worst thing Hulk Hogan did was his heel turn in the 90s. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the brutal 6th episode of Starfleet Academy, Come Let's Away.
And now join us with your Delton tambourines, and let's do the fruitful joining. Hi everybody, Lars here. Just a real quick editor's note. I'm in the middle of doing the post-production on this episode, and I realized that just a second ago when I said grab your Delton tambourines and let's do the fruitful couplet thing, I didn't actually give you the spoiler warning that I should have given you. So, should go without saying, that'll be spoilers from here. So, come on, let's get back to it. So, let's get right into it with our 60-second plot summary. Non-spoiler edition.
Less spoiled. Hold on. I got to get a timer here. I want to see if you can do it in less than 60 seconds, unlike the last time.
Yeah, I think this will be good in 20, to be honest.
Let me know when we're ready. Yeah. You get that timer up.
Yeah, because we're going to do it right this time. Now let's just do stopwatch whenever you're ready.
All right, let's go. On a training exercise, cadets from both the Academy and the War College are taken prisoner by vicious attackers aboard a derelict starship. As they fight to survive, the commanders, in desperation, reach out to the treacherous Nusbraka for help in saving the cadets. And while it doesn't go as planned, the combination of the cadets on the ship, the cadets on the derelict, and the connection between Caleb and Terima, the cadets are rescued, but it's not without terrible cost.
Hey, that was less than 30 seconds, so we're gonna have to change that to the 30-second plot summary.
Maybe. Well, that's better. It's better than when we did the test yesterday, and I read it in 16 seconds.
Well, I expanded it out, so
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I'm going to start writing words in there to really mess with him. So let's get into sexy time because that's the shortest bit we've got to talk about. So our episode opens with Caleb and Terima with the strategically placed sheet and the titty-free camera angles. This ends with some Betazoid mind stuff, which ultimately pisses off Caleb and separates lovers as the episode really begins. As the episode proceeds, we see the kind of connection that was made and how powerful Terima really is. This leads, of course, to desperate measures in the end. And so besides the obvious, how is this going to affect things going forward for both them and for the cadets in general?
So the thing for me is what I found, I want to kind of call a little bit of bullshit on Caleb's reaction to her going into his mind, because let's face it, he's the one who thought of the evil Teddy Ruxpin.
Hey, don't.
It's not her fault that it kind of came into the whole thing. You get this scene where it's like a scene out of the Matrix, you know, where it's like the construct program where
we can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
you get the flowers and she's like building this whole thing in her mind for them to connect together in their mind, so they're communicating and connecting both on a physical and mental level. And then he gets all butthurt because she connects to a memory that's painful to him, and it kind of triggers this whole reaction. She had no idea it was going to do that. Like, what the is his problem? Caleb, get your balls out of your mouth, man. Come on.
I do agree, though. I think it was an ever so slight overreaction from a writing perspective. It felt a little bit, and I understand the reason why they did it. Obviously later on in the episode, it's the whole explanation and narrative around her being able to mind speak and the connection between her and Caleb. But it did feel, considering how many episodes we're now in, we're on episode 6, and we've seen this build up. It did feel like a complete overreaction.
Yeah, I think they wanted to have something that made it awkward, so that as the episode proceeded, there would be some tension between them, rather than just they're perfectly fine. And actually, that wouldn't have mattered. They could have actually left this entire scene out, and it still would have worked.
Yeah.
I mean, it would totally been like,
think about it.
I'm fine. We're all fine. Situation normal. How are you?
I mean, from a writing perspective, meh, bad choice, yuck, yuck, yuck. But from like a...
We needed eye candy, though.
We need the side boob, okay?
From...
side boob.
Well, no. When you think about it, right?
3/4 of us wanted side boob.
From when you think about it, from Caleb's perspective, considering he has spent most of his life in and out of penal colonies and on the run, whatever, you know, like this guy has probably encountered a few telepaths in his time, so he probably doesn't feel good about telepaths going into his head without permission.
He went really deep into Shurima, so
yeah, but that's with consent.
You would think, though, when you, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. I mean, this may be a completely asinine, short-sighted, myopic perspective of the situation. If you're going to have romantic relations with a betazoid of any kind, you have to be willing to accept that they are going to not only sense your emotions, they are going to sense your thoughts. That means it's going to form some form of telepathic connection.
One way or another, you're going to feel it, right?
If he had said that he felt awkward or didn't feel right to him, that he felt awkward about it, you know, I think that would have been a more understandable reaction. Instead, his whole thing was just to get butthurt. And I'm like, he doesn't do that very well. He doesn't show that level of emotion very well. Unfortunately, one of my criticisms of the character this entire season is that he is written with a lot of Mary Sue mixed in, and that I hate that. I hate that because you can do so much with lead characters and you don't have to stir that in. So I really feel like he could have done that better. The reaction could have been better.
I guess different people will have different perspectives on it. Like, you know, it's, again, just like with normal Trek. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Some people might enjoy getting telepathically boned by their girlfriend. Some people might not.
I think had they positioned it where that happened and he just kind of freaked out, got out of bed, got dressed or whatever, and just walked out the room, I think that would have worked better than him just getting really, really butthurt and angry about it. I think it would have made that scene a little bit more powerful.
Yeah.
It just kind of felt really forced and unnatural. Anyway, should we move on to
one last point? Probably by the end of this episode, I don't think he cares about that little mental penetration.
I knew the word penetration was going to come in here somewhere. I'm glad it was by Patrick.
Well, we had two kinds of penetration in the scene, so not that we could see it.
Physical and mental.
Damn you, strategically placed blanket.
Sorry, and I will actually say there was one other bit of that opening scene that was a lot of fun, and that was the whole her explaining the mating sort of ritual for Deltons, because we've only it's been this big mystery for all the entirety of Star Trek from the motion picture onwards, where we know that Deltons have an increased level of pheromones, which means that it makes them irresistible, but they also purposely choose to be celibate when they join Starfleet for reasons. Her talking about the fact that she, kind of had that experience and giving us a little bit insight into it, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
An emotionless picture, though. Did the Enterprise choose to be celibate because Kirk was there?
Well, I mean, given time, I'm sure he would have gotten her to, break her oath.
The
No,
Enterprise?
nothing would. No, not even Shatner could force a Deltan to break celibacy.
I'm
No,
sure
the Enterprise. He didn't want to bang the Delta. He wanted to bang the ship.
Well, that too. I mean, look, given enough time, he would have gone for it. He would have gotten his hands on her more than ample nacelles.
Okay, now we need to go to somewhere else before this goes too far.
Yeah, we need to go. We need to move on.
Let's get into the actual episode and not just the sexy.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think a lot of you need neural suppressors attached into your necks right now.
I don't need one of those. I am perfectly normal.
I just want to say I don't need that. I just need.
So moving on to obviously the main theme of the episode, which is joint training exercises gone bad. The mission for this episode is a joint exercise aboard the derelict USS Miyazaki with teams from both members of the Academy and the War College. First up is a team led by War College Lieutenant Commander Tomov and War College cadets Kyle and Barvi, aka Bobby, aka the Vulcan asshole, and Academy cadets Caleb, Jaden, and Sam. So their counterparts on the Athena are Genesis, Durham, and Pickford, the most useless cadet we've all ever seen, who's shown the door at the first dead body, though the mission goes smoothly for about 2 minutes. Then after the standard loss of comms and transporters, the Furies beam on board, taking the cadets hostage, and after threatening Arcane, they debate who to throw out the airlock. The cadets fight back and escape their captors, though at the cost of Tomov, who fights the Furies to give the cadets that time to escape. He gets flushed out the airlock after he dies, but this leaves the cadets on the bridge with Kyle wounded and the others trying to keep it sealed from the Furies and trying to restore the computer as a team. How does this explore the camaraderie and skills of the various cadets? As well, how does this extend to the actions of Genesis and Durham as well as Sarima?
Obviously, Caleb's programming capabilities and his way of figuring things out comes in handy. Sam obviously can power and program the computer faster than literally anyone. Bavi and even Kyle managed to do some defense. I don't really know what Jaden brings to this other than trying to treat Kyle, because that
Jaden is there for raw strength. I mean, he's a Klingon.
I do genuinely do think some of the scenes with Jaden, especially, it made him quite whiny, and I know obviously he's been portrayed as a very sensitive, nurturing, pacifist style character, right? But even so, right, in situations like that, under intense pressure and people literally coming at you, I'm just thinking in terms of raw instinct and how you would actually react to those kind of situations. You wouldn't just freak the out. You would deal with it. I think they made him very overly sensitive, and it didn't kind of resonate with the context of what we were seeing. Do you know what I mean?
He didn't do shit, basically.
Yeah.
Made him a bit of a pansy.
A bit too much of one, though, I would say, on this. I mean, like, I am totally on board with his character and the way that they're portraying him. It's showing us a different side to what a Klingon can look like, but at the same time,
He should have thrown down.
Talks a good game about being a warrior, and in this setting and situation, given the stakes and the high pressure, I think he would have reacted differently, given all the character development we've seen so far over the last few episodes.
Yeah.
Give you my perspective on two sides, the positive and the negative. I'm going to start with the negative. The negative is in a lot of agreement with you, James. The fact I feel like Jaden was not utilized effectively in this scene, because just because he is a Klingon who does have a more sensitive or more nurturing side or a more even pacifist side to him, there is something about Klingons biologically that screams the need for some form of visceral contact, that need to show strength through superiority. And he hints to that a little bit when Kyle gets injured and he's like, I can't treat this really well without, it's probably going to scar. And he's like, what's a soldier without, Kyle says, what's a soldier without a few scars? And Jaden's like, are you sure you aren't part Klingon? The idea is that he was showing right there that he recognized that the ability to overlook personal pain and discomfort is very much a Klingon attribute, and it impressed him. So the very fact that he himself did not at least present some level of that kind of tells me, yeah, they didn't write that very well, because I don't want to it doesn't have to go like full on, Klingon where he's Klingon warrior where he's got his batleth and he's, he's whooping ass and everything.
Yeah.
And I want to see him do something that shows that he can be strong as well as smart.
And while we're talking about this scene and the kind of setup of what happens on the Miyazaki, can we just take a moment to obviously remember the late and great Lieutenant Commander Tomov that we've only ever seen on this episode and we will never see again.
Correct.
Because
obviously he died and then remembered he had to go out the airlock.
Yeah.
He died and then was just like, oh wait, my bad. I was supposed to go out that way, right?
I thought that in the run up to the rest of it, that was a kind of great scene in terms of the fight scene and him obviously trying to protect the cadets and obviously stayed to and sacrifice himself to save the rest of them. That kind of hit home with that level of bravery and courage that we've come to expect from Starfleet officers, seasoned Starfleet officers.
Or in this case, the War College.
But then obviously we saw the aftermath when he gets flushed out of the airlock. I think he was missing a leg. Was he missing a leg?
Well, yeah, and because you heard that because when they
needed a snack.
You heard,
the Furies cannibalized him.
They were hungry.
Flesh ripping.
That was quite there was so much of that happening all at once. It started verging on a horror film.
Well, I mean, when the force field finally goes up and it cuts off the Fury's arm, that was kind of cool. I mean, I thought that's a really good use of an environmental situation.
And let's talk about the Furies for a second in terms of the way that they were portrayed and the whole distorted face. The only kind of alien race they've reminded me of is not even in Star Trek, it's in Doctor Who, the Silence. They had that kind of very creepy vibe about them, like terrifying.
The skin as well, and like the lack of facial features.
Yeah,
it was
very genuinely quite distressing to look at them, to be honest.
But the constant like phasing in and out as well, that reminded me of like corrupted psychers. Warhammer 40k.
For me, I got the impression that what kind of reminded me of the Reavers from the Firefly universe. One thing I did is, and I'll get back to my positive point here, but one thing I did right after watching the episode was trying to find any mention of the Furies in Trek canon previously, and I could not find any previous mention in actual canon. The only thing I found was a mention on Memory Beta, which is the non-canon Star Trek website, and they were a race of beings from another galaxy, and they only appeared in a a Voy novel called The Final Fury. And I thought this doesn't seem like it's the same race. So I wonder if they just kind of borrowed the name and created something new for this series.
Yeah, well, if you remember Vance's explanation about the Furies, it was they're a human alien hybrid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then it
Um,
turns out that they're. Oh wait, actually no, that's later on in the episode.
yeah.
What about what about, and it just got me thinking a second, what about from Strange New Worlds season 3, where they came across the creatures, and they found out that the ship was were humans, the people were, or the creatures were human at one point.
Oh,
I wonder if that kind of might be some form of link. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of
Possibly.
grasping
The
here.
zombie ep?
Yeah. No, not the zombie ep. No, sorry. The one where
Where
the
Doctor-
Invader
where
episode,
where
like
we
the
get
ship.
the little cameo of the TARDIS. That episode.
yes. And the Enterprise, or not the Enterprise, sorry, the Farragut shows up to help him on that one.
Yeah.
And Kirk murders a bunch of humans.
Yes, pretty much. So but I kind of do want to make a positive point here. One cool thing about this entire scene, if you like, because it's several back and forth, but this overall scene for me did actually show some strength of the characters. It showed that Caleb is actually really smart and really clever. He's also very determined, while at the same time he is allowing himself to grow by allowing that connection with Tarima, where she can give him information and get around whatever's blocking communications. That shows character growth, which was really cool. You then also got to see the relationship between Kyle and Jaden. Jaden shows his strengths by being that healer, and Kyle shows that he can grow by being a stronger character, by showing he can be strong for his team. And then, of course, you've got Bavi. Now, Bavi is like been this asshole from the get-go, and I'm not going to really spoil it here until we get to the point where it needs to be spoiled. But what happens to Bavi in this scene, to me, actually made it feel like there was a great part of his character arc that nobody saw coming, and it was beautifully executed.
Although they did indicate it was coming at some point.
Sure, I get that, but also Sam. Sam is a phenomenally cool character that we are starting to learn a lot about, and we got to see her apply her strengths. It wasn't this point where she was arrogant about it. She was just like, bam, I know how to do this. This is what I do. I'm the photonic who has the digital footprint. This is what I do.
Except she does the hand job thing with a computer.
No, I agree. In terms of the teamwork that they actually did on the Miyazaki bridge, I thought that was really well done for the most part, apart from Jaden kind of just slightly being a whiny bitch.
Also,
all the other characters, though, I think it shows a lot of growth, and shows a more kind of intelligent, strong side of Caleb. And obviously, it played to Sam's strengths very well. There's one thing I think we haven't mentioned either, which was teasing out a bit of Barvi's personality before it, which was the reference he made. It was just before they boarded the ship, actually, which was about the comic book Tales from the Frontier. We talk about that for a second, because I think there's a massive plot hole in that. So I was struggling to actually understand which era the Miyazaki was actually originally from. Does anybody actually know or remember any reference within the episode of which era the Miyazaki was from? Because I think it jumped around in terms of dates.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the dates themselves, but looking at the uniforms in
the comic book,
it looked like original series era.
That's what I got from it. And yet we're talking about a prototype singularity drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That kind of annoyed me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of annoyed me. Like that they've got this prototype drive that just so happens to be the cure of all of their dilithium powered engine woes would solve, and yet it's been left to this
Well, yeah,
nebula.
because
They've just
they
left it in the
don't
middle of
want to
nowhere with
they
this.
they don't want to experiment with it again because of the issues that it had previously.
I know, I
they've already
understand
got
that, but to the point of obviously what we then see later on in the episode is why would you leave experimental kit like that lying around for anybody to just salvage?
That's
Yeah,
true. Unless
knows?
unless the fact it was safely deep inside Federation territory.
Yeah, and that would explain it, I guess.
Yeah.
On that front,
But
it
that
just
actually makes a really good point there.
With Davi, when after they first got to the bridge, Caleb was a little bit upset, wondering why Tomov sacrificed himself. And
yeah, he did
Davi
that.
immediately goes to the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or
yeah,
the
I love
one,
that line.
which telegraphs what's going to happen to him by the end of this episode.
But also,
It does.
also, Tomov is played by Jeff Teravainen, who played Lieutenant Anders in Dark Matter. Oh, damn, you guys don't know Dark Matter? Okay.
I don't know that reference, Cat.
Dark Matter is it's a sci-fi show that originally aired on Channel 4, set in the 27th century. Imagine Lost, but in the 27th century.
Sounds like more like Red Dwarf.
Well, no, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's worse than Red Dwarf, but at the time, I loved it.
So Kat has a really good point with this whole thing of them abandoning experimental technology that goes wrong, and it goes all the way back to the Enterprise incident of the original series, and that is that they stole the Romulan cloaking device. They used it once successfully, but according to canon, they tried to put it on another ship immediately after. It disappeared. There was an explosion, and we assumed that that was that. And they were like, "No way, no how, not doing it." And it wasn't until later in the TNG episode where they talk about the Pegasus, where they secretly tried it again. And of course, we saw what happened to the Pegasus. Now, going forward with that idea, we have, they signed these things like the Treaty of Algernon, where he said, no, we're not going to use cloaking technology, blah, 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 blah. Well, you look at this and they're like, hey, let's experiment with this singularity drive. And they must have realized that the Romulans didn't get it too right either. They're the ones.
Yeah.
They have an artificial singularity drive, and that was the only way that they could get it to work. Like, it's almost kind of going back to the second Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie where Doc is trying to make an actual
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Exactly. Trying to make a functioning fusion device. Well,
yeah.
Come on, you're trying to harness parts of nature that I really think will you in the ass.
Yeah, but also, should they really try and experiment with new jump drives? They already have the mycelium drive from Discovery.
By this point, it's been long abandoned. The whole problem was that Discovery abandoned it because they knew what it was doing to the mycelial life forms.
Oh yeah, the network.
Yeah.
That's jogged my memory on it. Yeah, so, which does explain why.
And it also, this is this is a perfect allegory. This is the cautionary whale that's floating out in space. They come here to teach them a lesson about loss, about how when you with nature, nature will back.
Exactly. Plus, as well, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Like doing this podcast?
Yeah. We're all insane at this point. You and Patrick lost your mind years ago. I lost mine 3 episodes ago.
I never had it.
It's only a matter of time before James joins us in our padded rooms.
Although I will
Way
point
ahead
out that despite them not being the singular drive being a problem, they fire it up by the end of this episode.
Mhm.
But it's the thing is, they still like haven't been able to like. It's not like they fired it up and took off with the ship. It was like they fired it up and got some aspect of its ability
Yeah.
to disrupt the Fury's ability to hold them, you know, at knife point.
Yeah.
So that probably leads us on quite nicely to the next section.
Let's go ahead and move on to our next discussion point, which is when Ake met Braca. With the students on the Mizaki trying to survive long enough to be rescued, Ake, Kellerick, and Glitchy Hollow Vance discuss options. Unfortunately, their best option is to call in the seam-chewing Noose Braca, and it appears he does have the knowledge they need. Unfortunately, most of what he really wants is to play mind games with Ake while getting as many concessions as possible. In the end, though, as they spring a plan to disrupt the Fury's interference, Braca springs his sudden but inevitable betrayal, revealing he masterminded the whole thing, sacrificing cadets and stealing weapon technology from a nearby starbase after the ship protecting it has come to aid the Athena. And after this, Braca pops in on Hollow for one last dish of revenge he's been planning to serve up, leaving Ake alone at her desk. So, how is the adversarial relationship between Ake and Braca and Ake's action toward him and others in the past continuing to affect the landscape of both the local galaxy and the Academy?
Well, let me start with that one. Yeah, the big problem here is that he is going after Ake. He wants to get revenge. He wants to hurt her. He wants to hurt. He doesn't care who he hurts. He doesn't care if her cadets get eaten. Literally in this case. So yeah, it's
like it actually took me a little bit. It took me 2 watchings to finally get the nuance of what he was actually planning.
I would agree
realize
on
he had
that.
actually masterminded the entire thing.
Yeah, I think in my first watch, I lost that aspect somehow. But on the second rewatch, it all kind of slotted in quite nicely.
Yeah.
I thought the whole power play between Braca and RK was probably my biggest highlight of this episode, if I'm honest. I think the way they played each other off in her office and the way Giamatti in his character took control of the whole setting and told her to sit in that chair. It was an absolute power play of a scene. And I think even Holly Hunter played it beautifully in her. It wasn't deference; it was indignation, a silent indignation. I think is the only way to put that. And you could see the hate in her eyes. I thought it was beautifully done between the two of them, and they did a tremendous job playing those scenes very well.
So, here's the thing with this whole bit of Braca being the mastermind of this entire affair. Do you think that Ake was blindsided, or do you think that she felt silently in control and just kind of didn't truly understand the nuances or the depth of what was going on? Did you? I mean, did you got to think that she, given her relationship with Ake, sorry, her relationship with Braca, there had to be like she had to know that he would screw her over at the first.
Yeah,
But she said that, right? So in the whole conversation in the run up to reaching out to Braca, because obviously it was Vance that concocted the idea of reaching out to him.
later in the
because of all-
episode she did too.
Yeah. Well, she begrudgingly agreed to do it, I think. But there's a whole resistance to that, and she rejects the whole idea in the initial sense. And then it was only when she realized how perilous the situation was with the cadets on the ship, where she then gives in and goes, "Yeah, we need to contact him and get this sorted out, whatever it takes," kind of. And I thought the way RK was portrayed in this episode was really well done. And feel free to disagree with me on that, but she was a standout for me in this episode.
I have a feeling that RK was kind of duped a little bit.
Yeah, so she knew it was going to be a bad idea. And you can see it in her face when Vance obviously then goes into the whole explanation of right, he's screwed us over. He's attacks the space station and grabs a load of experimental weaponry, which we don't know what that is. Whether or not we find that out in later episodes, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Obviously, there's a
When he uses them.
there's a master plan at work here, right? He's concocted this to go to that station and grab whatever he needs to do something else with. So I guess we'll find out or potentially find out in later episodes. But the way she looked at Vance in that moment, it kind of was a "I told you so" look at Vance. So I don't think she was completely blindsided about it, but I think she was to a degree, which shook her and took her by surprise. But I don't think overall she was completely blindsided about it. She knew what they were getting themselves in for, and they knew he was going to be a slippery bugger.
Yeah. She did indicate that she knew there was something they were missing. There was something he was going to do. She just didn't know which thing she was going to do.
Anybody else pick up on what I think is a subtle hint to her being more guarded with the situation? And that was when the opening shot of that scene when she's walking down the hall and it starts with her boots. Do you think for a moment that was a subtle hint that she was serious about the situation? Because typically we often see her wearing like no shoes or like the little chain kind of thing over her feet and whatnot. Maybe I'm kind of reaching too deep on this.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, we've seen her in a comfortable setting, being exactly who she is, and being down to earth, grounded, with no shoes. This was an episode about RK being snappy, under pressure, and in command, and being very, very serious about the way in which she went about doing everything that she did in this episode. I think obviously forget about the beginning about it, where she's obviously explaining the joint exercise that they're doing. Beyond that, it was very much, I'm a captain of a ship and I need to do all of this stuff. I think to your point, I would agree that was a very serious moment. It was quite a poignant moment when she was walking down the hallway and all you could hear were her paces.
Fair enough. Kat, why don't you go ahead and take us into our last discussion point?
Yep. So our final big chunk, I guess you could call it, would be the body count. So after Genesis is able to locate the Hidden Furies ship, the two-part plan to rescue the cadets from a bunch of cannibals, the plan starts to formulate. Knowing that the Furies themselves are vulnerable to high sonic frequencies due to being human bat alien hybrids, they call in the USS Sargasso from Starbase J-19 Alpha to hit them with sonic beam. That goes sideways when a Venari Rel ship uncloaks and blasts the Sargasso, and then it takes off before the Athena can destroy it. Second part of the plan, with communications provided by Terima and her Psyduck powers, was to activate the Singularity Drive, which the cadets managed to do. But unfortunately, before they can be beamed out, the Furies finally break through. Jaden and Kyle desperately fight off one. A second blasts Sam with some kind of digitizing her. She does start to look like a falling apart Tron character. And another gets ready to blast Caleb, but Barvey leaps out in front. He takes the shot in the chest and unfortunately dies. At this, back on the Athena, Terima rips out her neuro inhibitor and unleashes a psychic stream that explodes the heads of the Furies, and the cadets are beamed back. The final count is unknown casualties at the starbase, though Discovery is still recovering escape pods. Some unknown but classified tech has been stolen. Lieutenant Commander Tomov and Cadet Barvey lie dead. Sam is in a glitched state, and Terima is in a coma. With this low point in their time at school, how will this affect rivalries between the Starfleet Academy and the War College? And how will this change things all the cadets.
So I think what we may see as a result of this, I don't think it would be necessarily rivalry. I think it may be like a point in time where it makes them a bit more gives them a bit more camaraderie. I mean, I think ultimately the way this episode ended was a complete shit show, right? You know, multiple casualties. A cadet's dead, an officer of the ship is dead. The way that scene was set out, it was almost at the point where all hope was lost, and without Tarima's Psyduck telepathy powers, I'm gonna. It's not Tarima Sadal anymore. It's Tarima Psyduck. After that whole. That felt like a little bit overkill for me, but after we also see all of this happen, and obviously she then falls into a coma, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of post-trauma that I think will start coming out now in possibly the next episode. So I think this is going to be setting us up for dealing with all of that. And I think Vance even said towards the end about trauma specialists are going to be on site at San Francisco to support all the cadets and the officers involved in all the situations. So it was a complete shit show. And it could go one or two ways, right? It'll either bring them all together, or it'll cause a lot of stress and a lot of bickering and a lot of underlying tension. So I guess we'll find out.
I will say that the loss of Bobby was completely unexpected, and I mean that they did this to us one other time that I can remember, and that was in Picard season 3.
Let's have a look at what you could have won, folks.
Trauma.
But let's just on a lighter note on that, because I don't think we've actually brought it up yet. Obviously his name is Barvey, and this is also a question for those watching this episode. Who thought his name was for real Bobby?
Show of hands.
I heard Bobby all the way through. Like, I was convinced we had a Vulcan called Bobby.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Barry.
Barry.
I wasn't sure, and I couldn't hear it clearly, so I had to research for a while, and then I confirmed it. And it's like, oh, okay, that's the name.
Yeah.
No, we need another human named Vulcan, because I miss Doug.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you can't blame me for thinking his name was Bobby, because we've had a Vulcan named Doug.
Yeah, but I want it to be the most mundane human name like possible, like Keith or Gary.
Barry White.
You know, Keith the Vulcan, I think would be amazing.
Barry White the Vulcan.
Anyway,
like every time he walks into a scene, it just like you get this bass line just dropping.
Yeah.
But
honestly, I was genuinely quite surprised, and it only came out of the woodwork when Patrick actually told us that his name was Barvey, because I was referring to him as Bobby in all my notes.
And to be fair, when you first said his name properly, James, I thought you were talking about. I genuinely thought you said Barbie.
Oh yeah, Barbie. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Barbie. Yeah, that's his name now. So, his name is Barbie.
So, dear listeners, is it Barbie? Is it Bobby? Is it Barbie? Let us know in the comments.
Could be Barbie. It could be Barbie.
Cadet Barbie.
Cadet Barbie, but where's his Ken?
I was like, Ken.
Where is his Ken?
Correct, Barbie and Ken.
So there you go, Mattel. You need to do a crossover.
Yep.
Yes, you do.
Starfleet Barbies, Starfleet Kens, and you got so many uniforms. I can't wait till the Monster Maroon ones.
Oh my god! Imagine a pink, sparkly Starfleet uniform.
No, like imagine a shuttlecraft that's
bright pink.
Yeah, bright.
Oh my god! They can make a bright pink Delta flyer.
No, we're not having that. Not a chance. Not a chance.
Okay,
What do you mean?
Hot. Okay, how about at least hot pink racing stripes? That would be okay.
Yes, Delta Flyer with hot
Or-
pink racing stripes.
Or
Oh,
purple would be my preference, but oh well.
God, what was I doing in a past life to deserve this kind of shit?
I genuinely, I think you might have been Jack the Ripper in a past life to deserve this.
Yeah, I think we've gone off the rails on this one.
Yeah, I think we're
so-
just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. What do you think?
Couple miscellaneous things. At the beginning of the episode, they came up with another pop song of some kind. What do you think so far of their musical choices for the modern, not the orchestration, but starting with them arriving in San Francisco to what we got at the beginning of this episode? Why don't you like it, Kat?
Well, I mean, the music at the start of this episode just it sounded like a generic, run of the mill. Oh, this is the song of the summer, and
You kind of need that feeling for teens.
I
At
mean,
least it's
yeah,
not everybody playing classical all the time.
yeah. At least it's not classical. You know, we don't need to listen to Mahler's #1 Symphony.
It's
Just
not-
like when the
It's not the Beastie Boys, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
the
good
thing.
in between.
Yeah, hey, look, I would take listening to K-pop over what they have had so far in the season. And I
Again,
hate K-pop.
think of the audience, okay? Think of who they are trying to appeal to. It's
100%.
got to be
Yeah, my generation.
choices
I
have
try to
got to
appeal to my generation.
yeah, Gen Zers and Gen Alpha. So you gotta give them props for at least trying to know their audience. And I mean, I'm not saying that your opinion is not worth something, but it comes down to who are they going to get the best reaction out of? They want a majority.
Yeah.
But personally speaking, I agree. I think they're playing to their absolute target audience, but I don't think they're doing it offensively to turn away the existing fan base either. I don't think it's being overused. I quite like the odd use of a bit of 21st century language and music to try and make it relevant and relatable. And I think to a lot of people, that will actually piss people off rather than bring them in.
Very true.
I think if they were to do that and put a bit of a futuristic take on it, it could work. I think there's a way of doing both without making it all about 2025 or 2026.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing the music, like some of the more modern music, they're doing it generic enough that they can attract both generations.
So the use of the San Francisco song,
Yeah.
100%. I loved every moment of that.
That was a pretty good one.
This, I think, added to the whole "this scene didn't feel right" moment for me.
Wrong music.
I think they set that up ever so slightly incorrectly. I don't think the episode should have opened with that scene. I think they could have probably played it in as they were traveling to that a little bit, just ever so slightly later on in the episode. I think the fact that they opened like that, it was a bit, oh, right, okay, all right, fair enough.
Right thing, wrong time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like making a joke at a funeral.
But back to the point though, I don't think it's been overused. I think it's being used for the wrong reasons.
I'm a little more of the music gives it character and it feels different than older Star Treks.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the whole point of this is they want the music to reflect today versus, hey, we're going to play another classical tune. Yay. I mean,
Yeah.
still the orchestration, the orchestrated music is also good, but it's really the modern stuff that kind of gives this show its character and makes it feel like it's now, but also in the future.
Yeah, it's a callback, and it kind of links it to the back to the past.
It's a millennium-long callback.
I don't deny that. I just think the use of it is ever so slightly sloppy. I do think it's sloppy writing in the way that they've put that together. I think it would have been more poignant had they teased out some of the actual cadets musical interests and played it in the background whilst watching that scene. I think it would have played out a little bit better.
Maybe indeed.
You know,
Who knows?
if
I mean, look, I'm still enjoying it anyway. I'm just being very critical.
I know, I think I can think of one good song that might have fit that scene a little bit. "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh.
Oh, come on.
So let's go ahead and let's hit the last discussion item, which is the hollow glitching. The thing is, sometimes it's appropriate and sometimes it feels gratuitous.
Stupid.
It uses a bit of a prop explanation, isn't it? You're talking about when they're communicating with Starfleet, and you know, I think they flicker it to make you realise and understand the fact that the characters are not physically there. I think that's the only reasonable use of this.
Yeah. I'm exactly the opposite on this one. That the constant the flickering every so often, they should have this sorted right now. There's 3 reasons to have it flicker. When you come in and go out, you have a flicker to indicate you're coming in and going out as that. You don't otherwise explain it. If somebody, like when Pig Vomit goes and pokes Hollow Vance, he flickers. That's okay. And if something in the background happens to cause the signal to break up, that's fine. Say you're talking with somebody, then there's an explosion, they flicker, and then they say they're under attack or something. That's fine, because then you have a reason to flicker other than our technology sucks.
Yeah, but let me just insert a little bit of a reminder, right? So obviously we're post burn Starfleet and the Federation, and the Federation is in the process of rebuilding itself. Now, thankfully, I've rewatched Discovery quite recently, and I remember an explanation about the subspace relay network across the Federation being essentially non-functional, destroyed or whatever post burn. I think this is a clever little way of trying to paint the picture of the Federation's not quite perfect yet, and it is still in the process of rebuilding itself. And it
They're not back
might
to
be
full
wrong,
power.
and it might be just like I said before, a little prop point to show the fact that the character is a hologram, not a physical character in the scene, in the setting that they're in. But I just wanted to plant the seed on the other aspect of it, because there was a whole explanation about the whole subspace relay network being not quite as good as it used to be. So out of all the episodes, I think, with the exception of episode 3, I'd probably say this was my least favorite. Just because it did a lot of trauma dumping. There is a few little holes in the episode. I thought the whole dynamic between RK and Braca was what saved it ultimately, and the ending around Tarima's connection with Caleb after it being thoroughly explained in more detail. I got a lot more from it. It took me about 2 or 3 rewatches to properly get this episode, though. So that's why I'm saying I think out of all of them, it's probably ranked a little bit lower out of the ones that I've seen.
Kat, what do you think? What are your final takeaways?
I mean, I'm a bit 50-50 on it. The Furies just kind of felt like a bit of a cheap cop out. Tomov's death, again, cheap cop out. Bit annoyed that Barvey died. I wanted to kind of see a redemption arc from him.
I think him dying was a redemption arc.
Yeah.
Hey, no, just because he had the bowl cut, okay?
No, I genuinely do agree. It was more of a, because he's been an absolute arsehole up to this point, and this.
I would have liked to have seen at least some kind of redemption. Like if he died in a later episode after doing some redemption work, that'd be great. But like, we can't just treat his death as redemption.
Yeah.
But then apart from that, I think everything else in the episode was actually pretty cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know she's meant to be like a fun little character, but I may have took a little bit of pleasure when I saw Sam get shot and she looked like a Tron character, de-rezzing. But also seeing Tarima Psyduck unleash her power. Oh,
that for me, I think that was one of the 2 highlights for me of this entire episode, was seeing for us to see just how powerful she really is. I mean, we've kind of hinted at the Tam Albrin level of ability this entire season so far. Now we got to see she opened a case of whoop ass on these guys. And
not just one,
yeah,
3.
yeah. I mean, it was just it was insane. And seeing what her true abilities were just made me invest even more in the character. Now I want to see more of this character. But also, I think one thing that was really good is they kind of hinted at this back and forth between Nusbraka and Ake in the first episode, but this is the one that stung. He
100%.
got his sweet revenge against her, and then he's not even done yet. I mean, like he pulled it out with like gotcha, bitch, and he like he smeared it in her face at the very end. It's like he picked up the crap off the floor and smeared it all over her face, and she was just absolutely done. That's our review of the 6th episode of Starfleet Academy. Did we get it right? Did we miss anything? Do you agree or disagree? Of course, let us know.
Thank you for joining us here on Treknicity, where we wonder as we wander through the Star Trek multiverse. I'm your host, Patrick.
I'm Kat.
I'm James.
And I'm Lars. And I seem to recall that, Kat, you have a Kickstarter going on, don't you? Or about to go on.
Yeah, I do. So the Kickstarter will be going live tomorrow after this episode releases. It is for a project of mine called Devil May Cry Abridged. Kind of cool project. I got a bunch of voice actors for this. It's gonna be a wild ride. We have a plan for 10 episodes.
Cool. So we'll drop a link to that Kickstarter in the description for this video.
The trailer is on YouTube, so the Kickstarter is linked there. We can.
Fantastic. We'll link the trailer in this description, and we'll rock and roll from there. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Treknicity.com, as well as visiting all of our socials listed here. Or find us on your favorite podcast service, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. If you have ideas for future episode subjects, please feel free to drop a comment on this video or DM us on any of our social media accounts. And as always, rock out with your Spock out. We will see you